human skull is far more than just a protective shell for the brain. It is a living, dynamic structure shaped by evolution, biology, and function. From protecting the most complex organ in the universe, the human brain, to forming our face, enabling speech, vision, and hearing, the skull plays a critical role in who we are. In this video, we'll explore what the human skull is made of, how many bones it has and why, how it grows, heals, and changes with age. Fascinating scientific and evolutionary facts. Common myths versus real science. By the end, you'll never look at a skull the same way again. What is the human skull? The human skull is a bony framework of the head that, protecting the brain, supports facial structures, houses organs of sight, hearing, smell, and taste, enables speech and chewing. An adult human skull weighs about 4 to 5 kilograms, 9 to 11 pounds, and is incredibly strong, yet lightweight. Despite its solid appearance, the skull is not a single bone. It's a complex structure made of multiple bones fused together. How many bones are in the human skull? An adult human skull has 22 bones, divided into 2 main parts. Cranial bones, 8. These protect the brain. Frontal parietal, 2. Temporal, 2. Occipital sphenoid ethmoid facial bones, 14. These form the face. Nasal bones, maxilla, upper jaw, zygomatic, cheekbones, palatine bones, inferior nasal conchae, vomer mandible, lower jaw, the only movable skull bone. If you include ear ossicles and hyoid bone, the total increases further. The only movable bone, mandible, 10 to 1230. The mandible, or lower jaw, is the only movable bone in the skull. It allows chewing, speaking facial expressions. It is also the strongest bone in the face, and one of the most frequently used bones in the body. Every time you talk, even silently in your head, your jaw muscles activate slightly. Skull sutures, where bones meet. Skull bones are joined by sutures, strong, fibrous joints. Major sutures remind us of letters. Coronal suture, crown-like, separates the frontal bone, forehead, from the parietal bones, i.e. top/sides of head. Sagittal suture, arrow-like, runs down the top center of the skull, between the 2 parietal bones. Lambdoid suture, lambda-shaped, located at the back, between the parietal bones and the occipital bone, back of skull, forming a Y shape. Squamosal suture, or squamous, above the ear, connecting the temporal bone with the parietal bone. Metopic suture, frontal suture, a vertical suture on the forehead, between the frontal bone's halves, often fuses early. Other notable sutures and points. Sphenofrontal, between sphenoid and frontal bones. Sphenoparietal, between sphenoid and parietal bones. Between occipital and temporal, mastoid process bones. Bregma, where the coronal and sagittal sutures meet. Lambda, where the sagittal and lambdoid sutures meet. Asterion, a point where multiple sutures, parietal, occipital, temporal, intersect function and importance. Growth and birth allow the skull bones to overlap during childbirth for easier passage and provide space for the rapidly growing infant brain. Protection. Wavy, interlocking edges increase surface area and strengthen the joint. Landmarks. Provide anatomical landmarks for medical assessment, with pressure changes sometimes indicated by bulging or sunken fontanelles, soft spots in infants. These sutures allow skull growth in childhood, absorb shock, strengthen the skull. In adults, sutures are mostly fused, but never completely solid. Every time you talk, even silently in your head, your jaw muscles activate slightly. 5. Baby skulls and fontanelles. A newborn baby's skull is not fully fused. Instead, it has soft spots called fontanelles. Why? To allow the skull to compress during birth, to give space for rapid brain growth. A baby's skull has around 44 bones, many of which fuse as the child grows. The brain triples in size in the first 2 years of life, and the skull adapts accordingly. 6. Skull growth and aging. The skull changes throughout life. Childhood, rapid growth, flexible sutures. Adulthood, fully fused, maximum strength. Old age, bone density decreases. Jawbone may shrink if teeth are lost. Facial shape subtly changes. Your skull today is not the same as it was 10 years ago. Skull strength and protection. The skull is designed like a biological helmet. Thickness varies by region. Denser around vital brain areas. Curved shape disperses impact forces. Yet, despite its strength, severe trauma can still cause fractures, especially at thinner regions like the temples. 8. Skull and the brain connection. The skull and brain are closely linked. Skull shape influences brain development. Brain growth influences skull shape. The inner surface of the skull even carries imprints of brain folds. Damage to the skull can affect memory, personality, and behavior, showing how deeply structure and function are connected. Evolution of the human skull. Compared to early human ancestors, modern humans have larger brain cases, smaller jaws and teeth, flatter faces. This evolution reflects increased intelligence, language development, tool usage. The skull is a map of human evolution, forensic and medical importance. The skull can reveal age, sex, ancestry, trauma history. Forensic scientists use skull features to reconstruct faces and solve crimes. Doctors use skull imaging to diagnose tumors, brain swelling, fractures. Myths about the human skull. Myth: the skull is completely solid. Truth: it has sinuses and cavities. Myth: head shape defines intelligence. Truth: intelligence depends on neural connections, not skull shape. Myth: the skull never changes. Truth: bone remodeling occurs throughout life. Conclusion: the human skull is a marvel of biological engineering, strong yet flexible, protective yet adaptive. It tells the story of growth, survival, evolution, and intelligence. If you enjoyed learning these fascinating human skull facts and want more content on human body parts and associated science, like the video, share it with curious minds, subscribe to the channel, comment below to help us improve. Don't forget to ring the bell to receive more future notifications.